the cutting room with the tomahawk outlaw, the evil Reverend Billy Grimm, Billy the Chainsaw Massacre, and Joe and Mommy.
Hey everyone, once again, happy Halloween. Welcome back to our big Halloween spectacular here on the Cutting Room Movie Podcast. This is episode 93, and once a year I get to say this. I am your host, Tomahawk Detloff, and tonight I am joined by the California Chainsaw Massacre, Mr. Joe Mummy, Dangerous Dave Pace, and we got a special guest for our first review tonight. We're going to be talking about the Blair Witch Project. Mr. Bill Shetty of Horror on the Go is with us. He's back on the Cutting Room Movie Podcast. Cannot wait to talk to him. We got a lot going on tonight. Real quick, thought from your host. So check this out, Halloween fanatics. A New Jersey elementary school has decided to ban all Halloween activities this year in hopes of satisfying the 20% of the student body that oppose celebrating the holiday. No costumes, no candy, no parade, and most importantly, no self-expression. Seriously, children have a hard enough time expressing themselves, and now they continue to be stifled by some ridiculous decision made by an obviously wimpy school board. I mean, who does this holiday actually offend? What the hell is going on? I mean, let's remember, this holiday is for the kids. If anything, we should ban the adults wearing costumes, because all it has become to them is a reason for women to dress up like slutty prostitutes for an evening. Leave the kids alone, and please allow them to express themselves, especially on a beloved holiday, Mr. Max Cook, like Halloween. All right, let's get into it. I
love it. A PSA from the Cutting Room. That's great.
Hey, listen, I'm going to introduce the Blair Witch Project. Let's get things going. Here I go.
When was the Overlook built?
Construction started in 1907. It was finished in 1909. The site is supposed to be located on an Indian burial ground, and I believe they actually had to repel a few Indian attacks as they were building it. That's our snowcat. Can you both drive a car?
Yes.
You son of a bitch, you moved the cemetery, but you left the bodies, didn't you? You son of a bitch, you left the bodies and you only moved the headstones! You only moved the headstones! Lie! Lie!
Everybody duck, duck. Here comes the tomahawk.
I started thinking to myself right before I screened the Blair Witch Project, what the hell was going on with horror in the 90s? Seriously, what films stood out? Who was shaking the horror foundation? Who was pushing the boundaries? I seriously came up with nothing. Carpenter was a mess making vampires and remaking Village of the Damned or something, and Romero was off zombies and making bad horror movies with Timothy Hutton. Sam Raimi was making westerns and gearing up for Spider-Man. All the guns seemed to stop shooting for blood. Horror was lost and in dire need of a swift kick in the ass, and luckily, Eduardo Sanchez and Daniel Myrick found each other and wrote a 35-page treatment about a found footage film that would see three young adults search for the legend of an evil witch in the deepest and darkest parts of a Maryland forest. This treatment would become the Blair Witch Project. Luckily, the 90s wasn't through with delivering something for the horror fanatics to talk about for years to come. And what they got has now become legend. I'm utterly amazed at how scary and intense this film still is to me. That's right, you heard it here first, Bill Shetty.
This
totally...
is a joke.
He's calling my intro a joke.
He shows up and calls it a joke.
So I just,
nobody
joke,
has ever
Tom.
interrupted somebody's introduction before, movie introduction before, until Bill comes up.
Oh man, this film is totally fucking effective, packed with originality and performances that will blow your mind. You feel lost along with Heather, Michael, and Josh. You get their frustration and hunger, and most importantly, their fear. It feels so real even after multiple viewings, and I must say that this will now become a yearly Halloween event for me. That's right, Max Cook, a yearly Halloween event. The Blair Witch Project. Horror lives inside the Blair Witch Project. It eats you alive and spits you out. It makes you think of helplessness and death. I felt so alone watching this film. I felt cold and abandoned. Sanchez and Myrick effectively tap into your soul and leave you wondering about what's important to you. Is it life? Is it your dreams? Is it the films you absorb? Is it death? Darkness parades throughout those Maryland woods, and we're all affected by the tortured children in this film. This is a classic horror film, and one of the best the genre has offered over the past 20 years. A genre that seems to keep repeating itself and producing boring and ineffective terror. I know this film has a love-hate relationship with most horror fans, and probably rightfully so, but in my humble opinion, as I sit here during the Halloween season, I declare this a near horror masterpiece. A chilling tale of dread and discomfort. It amazes me how quietly Sanchez and Myrick have been the past 15 years. They took a gamble, and it paid off and produced a $234 million return on $20,000 and gave us one of the most talked about and legendary films of all time. The Blair Witch Project is my new Halloween guide to fear. And one final thought. One more. Thanks, Max. Thank you, Max. Thank you, California Chainsaw Massacre. The California Chainsaw Massacre. God, I love saying that. For finally programming a Halloween show that gave me chills while I viewed our films. Because if I had to sit through one more bad documentary with the likes of people like Hart Fisher, I seriously would have walked straight to Burkittsville and kicked my map in the creek and deprive myself of food and hope for the Blair Witch to take me away. P.S. I think I'm in love with Mary Brown. The end.
Mary Brown's hot.
I love Mary Brown.
Wait, did you say this? You said this is your first time seeing it, Tom?
No, I've seen it before.
Oh, okay.
I've seen it multiple times.
Okay, it sounded like it was your first time seeing it. Okay, gotcha.
No, I said that I've watched it before, but
I don't know, man. I really loved this film when I first saw the first time I saw it. I really did get creeped out and scared by it, but the times afterwards, it lost its effect for me for some reason. Just knowing the whole thing behind it.
I mean, I hadn't watched it in a few years. I thought that would probably be the case. Like I said, if you've listened to our... by the way, definitely check out our interview with Eduardo Sanchez, the director of the Blair Witch, the co-director of the Blair Witch Project. That's also up here coinciding with our episode today. I said during that interview that I was surprised that I was sitting there with chills and I was scared. I mean, I was experiencing fear and I was with them. And I've seen this I saw it when it came out. I liked it when it came out. I probably watched it maybe, a couple of times down the line, watching it for this show. I even and I said this during the interview, I put this on during the day, daytime, Max. That's no way to watch the Blair Witch Project. Not during the day. And I got it on during the day. I'm sitting in my living room and I'm like biting my fingernails in fear watching this stuff. This is like one of the creepiest movies I've ever seen. How could you not fucking love this movie?
A lot of people don't like it, Tom, and I think, and I can't wait to hear what Bill has to say, of course, but A lot of people, I'm with you 100%, by the way. I have always loved this film. It is scary every time I see it. And again, we get into this with Eduardo, so I won't go into it too much here. But what the film does is it puts you to work. You are creating the Blair Witch in your head. All of the fears that you have about going out into the woods at night, all of the fears that you have about getting lost, all of the images that you have in your mind of Ellie, all of it is upon you. You're doing a lot of work in this thing. You are the fourth traveler or the fourth young student filmmaker to get lost in the woods. And it's absolutely terrifying. Heather Donahue is astonishing. This is a groundbreaking film. Let's hear what our guest has to say.
That's what we're here for, man.
I am
All right,
absolutely speechless, guys. I mean, I've battled so many people over this movie, but like, Tom, you take the cake with this, man.
You take the cake, Tom.
How do I take the cake, Bill?
Oh my God, man, like your rave review on this. And I know it's got strong appeal to younger folks. And how old are you, Tom?
I'm 41.
Jesus Christ, man. Like, you're giving Eduardo Sanchez all of the 90s. Are you forgetting about Scream and Candyman?
Nonsense. You think Scream? Listen, we could go through.
He doesn't really believe that.
Who doesn't? Me?
Yeah, you.
Oh my God. I'm not a huge Scream fan. It was like one of my worst slashers,
There's
but I mean,
no way you can't sit here and tell me, Bill, that Scream is a better film than the Blair Witch
Oh
Project.
my God, are you serious, dude?
It's
like
the same
100
nonsense.
times.
It's the same nonsense.
No, dude, and I'll give you a movie that came out the same year. It's an Asian film called Audition. That is
Audition was great.
amazing, man. Like, you
Funny
can't
right
even
about that.
compare it. You can't even compare it.
Listen, I look.
But those are diametrically opposed films there, Bill.
But he made the statement, Max, that the 90s was Eduardo Sanchez, that everybody was putting out crap. I can go off 10 movies right now.
I should have said Scream 2 in my intro, because that's a piece of crap. Craven is off his game when he's making Scream. I don't think that's a good movie. And you know Carpenter was making crap in the 90s. Bill.
I agree with Carpenter. I agree
Ghosts
with
of
Carpenter.
Mars fucking
And Romero.
ruled. I don't give a shit. I will cut you.
But let me say up front, guys, I am not the fan of found footage, documentary, handheld. I literally hate the whole concept. I don't think it's enjoyable watching that movie or them types of movies, because you have to put yourself in that situation because it's made to be real. And there was so much hype about the Blair Witch Project. I can remember it like it was yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
The scariest movie ever made. You will get sick in the theater. Barf bags are in the theater. And it was a pile of crap. And you're saying that lead actress was so great? Oh my God.
She was revelatory, Bill.
Could she talk about the map any more times? She was so annoying throughout the whole film, it takes you out of it. So I did not buy it at all.
I see you, Bill. You wear a dark suit, you have a driver, you live in a mysterious house in the hills, and you're ridiculously wealthy. Is this true?
That's not true.
Who are you, man? Because, like, for years, you did something so great. You started the Horror Palace Network. Next thing you know, we're doing shows, talking about horror movies. You've got all kinds of shows going on, all this crazy content, all these message boards. Yeah, the cutting room started there. Next thing you know, you pull the plug on the whole thing. I still don't know why, and we don't have to go into that. And then you disappeared for a few years, and then you came back with another show, which, by the way, I listened to. I haven't heard them all. I think the last one I heard was Human Centipede 3. So what happened, Bill? Who are you, and what the hell are you doing now?
Yes, guys. If you want, I'll do the quick summary. I think everybody knows that the podcast patent was up for debate. There was a company that held that patent, and they went after the big boys.
Oh, a patent troll.
Yes, a patent troll. And finally, just this year, it was either March or April, it got shot down finally.
Which we all told you was going to happen.
Yeah. And I knew that, but guys, I was scared. Like, I was ahead of that of like 10 to 12 different podcasts. And we wasn't making money at the time, but that was the 1 year mark around January, February there. where we was going to go scouting for advertising, and it freaked me out, dude. Like
that patent scared you more than the Blair Witch
it
Project?
did, because yes, way more. Because remember, guys, I was on the radio. I'm not anymore. I just stopped that actually last month. But I was on the radio, and we were getting memos at the radio stations, and was being advised that a lot of the radio stations were pulling their podcast feed down too, just until this got settled. So yeah, it kind of freaked me out, guys.
So now you're free, though. You're free. You can do
Yes.
whatever you want. You're not going to take any guff from the swine. So you're doing this show, but what is your life? You say you used to work in radio. Where were you born? I want to know your life story, Bill.
Oh
Where
my
were you
God,
born?
dude, I don't have all that time, brother.
Where were you born? What is
New
your
York.
accent?
New York.
So you're a New York guy. Are you an only child?
I'm not. Five.
You're one of five?
Yes.
Are you the one misfit sibling of the family?
I'm not. I'm the youngest, though. Does that matter?
Yeah, I guess that matters. What do you got, like brothers?
Brothers and a sister.
Are you still close with all of them?
I am.
But now you're the California kid. Do any of them live out?
They don't. They're all back east in Tom and Joe's part of the woods, all New Jersey, New York area.
So would that make you Biggie or Tupac?
Neither, man. Don't like rap.
So do you live alone in a big dark house in the hills?
I actually do. Not a big dark house, but
It's a
I am
fortified
single
compound.
right now. I am single right now. Yes.
Okay.
Oh, you were married, Bill.
Yes.
What happened, Bill?
I was. Oh my God, dude. I'm not going
Was it
into
the podcasting?
part of it.
Really?
Because I didn't have.
You were spending a lot of time on the podcast.
Joe, this happens. I've seen this happen with other podcasters where their wives are just like they've had enough now. Because a couple of cool ones too. I think Jay, the kid Jay the Dead that used to be on the Heart Palace Network, he went through a similar problem. I think Midnight Corey too went through problems like that.
Really?
Yeah, these wives, they don't want their men podcasting.
Well, he's up at midnight. That's not sensible. You're a married man. For
Dude,
fuck's
and
sake.
ask Joe. Joe with the editing
Midnight
and
Corey.
post and everything. I mean, this is a full-time job.
Yeah.
when you run it, you know.
Yeah. Tom refuses to learn how to edit.
He
It's
still
4
hasn't yet, Joe.
It's
What are
4.
you doing
Listen,
with
Bill. It's 4 years, and Tom
Oh my
still has
God.
yet to edit a
Holy
single show.
shit, dude. Do you realize I was doing video weekly, man? Do you have
That's
any
insane, man.
concept
That you're
how
fucking
much
insane.
that takes out of
Weekly.
life?
That's-
Weekly, dude. Yes.
Yeah, but I don't want you to lose that enthusiasm, Bill. I don't want you to. I mean, don't worry about women. You're fine. You're living up in the compound. You can just dial it up. You don't need to get involved with a woman. I mean, you're in your 50s, right?
Oh, thanks, brother. I appreciate that. No, mid-40s.
Oh, mid 40s, really?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Bill.
No, that's
I
right.
thought you were.
Jesus
I thought you-
Christ, man.
Well, again, I don't know about you. So now, now, when you say 40s, are you 45?
Yep, exactly.
Oh my God! So we're both the same age.
Yes.
That
But
adds-
you look older than me, though, man. Just go back to that video we did
Oh,
and
no.
see who looked older.
I look terrible in that video. But seriously, you only watch horror films. Is that true? I mean, I know you say you watch Survivor, but you still only watch horror.
Absolute. And documentaries. I do like documentaries.
Okay, so that's refreshing. So let me just, before we get to the docs, with the horror, you really are about gore and kills and the this and the that. Do you ever have a spiritual relationship with the genre? Like, does it ever get, because you mentioned Audition, which is a really nice surprise, because that's a very artful film.
Yes,
So you-
I like a lot of type of films, man.
It's
Yes,
also
I
violent,
was
though. It's really violent.
I was
though, too.
brought into horror in the slasher area, man. So that is my forte. But I watch every type. I like a lot of different type of films. Antichrist, so artful. I love it, man.
You
Oh,
like,
that's
you
a
like
great
it.
film.
I love it.
Okay, so what's the last great documentary you saw? What kind of docs do you like?
All type, man. I like history documentaries, war documentaries, horror documentaries, of course. Anything, man. Any type of documentary. I
like,
like my last best documentary was Blackfish, man, about the whales. in
Oh God, I
Seattle.
can't watch that. You can watch those poor whales get slaughtered and all that.
It was.
Oh
it
no,
was-
that's the one about SeaWorld.
Yes, it was eye-opening, man. It was eye-opening. It was a
Do you-
great
Do you
documentary.
cry when you watch those things? Do you get emotional about animals?
So, man. It depends what it is. So. I'm not the biggest of animal lovers, but like sometimes it hits me.
Now
Yeah.
I see you in a big black leather chair. You have those, what are those, like James Bond movie blinds? Like you just push a button.
How did you know that, man?
I don't know. You got the big giant screen. How many inches you got on that screen?
150 inch.
150 inches.
Get out of town.
He's got his own at-home theater. I bet you're wearing silky black boxers and a muscle shirt.
Nope, I'm wearing jean shorts though, man.
Jorts? No,
That's
Bill,
awesome.
you cannot wear jorts. We have to go through your wardrobe and get rid of the jort. How can you sit in jean material when you are watching these things? That's very uncomfortable.
Always I'm sitting in jean material, man. I like workout type clothes too, man. So
Okay,
I like to be.
there you go. You like athletic wear. It's soft fabric. You need your beans to be tucked in gently, and now let me ask you this: are you wearing the baseball cap, the Grizzlies' own baseball cap that I love, that I wear all the time? Do you wear that on your head when you watch these movies?
Sometimes, man, but not right now. I just got my hair cut. When my hair grows longer and it gets wild, yeah, I wear a lot of caps.
Now, do you take off the big giant sunglasses when you watch movies, or do you watch it with the sunglasses on?
No, I take them off, but honestly, I do wear sunglasses all the time, man.
Me too. Now, listen, this is great. We have a lot in common. I think we're breaking ground. Now, here's the biggest question, Bill. When you're sitting in your at-home theater and you've got your jorts on, what beverage do you reach for when you're watching these movies? Are you a man who
This
drinks?
is important, Bill.
I might disappoint you, man. It's just usually coffee or Coke, man. I don't drink very rarely.
Okay. Now, that's not because of the wife. That's just because of you.
No, yeah, I've never been a big drinker, and I hate beer, man. I'm more of a woman drinker, man. I like the fruity drinks.
Me too. Now, with the athletic wear, and I'll stop after this. Do you have the at-home gym? So do you actually work out? Do you earn the right to sit down and watch a bunch of movies? I'm trying to say, because that's what I feel like I have to do. Like I have to work.
I've wanted to, man, but I don't have an at-home gym. But there is in the complex, so yes, I don't at home.
What if
Bill,
he lives so close to me? It's ridiculous.
I'm glad this has all to do with the Blair Witch Project.
That's how we do things here.
We haven't changed a thing.
I'm
here.
glad. I'd rather talk about this than Blair
Of
Witch,
course.
man.
But Bill, I'm very saddened to hear about you and your wife. I mean, are you divorced? Is it a process right now? What's going on?
It was done a year. It's been over a year.
So you're completely divorced.
Yes, it's
Completely.
been over a year, man.
Oh,
Second
man.
one, by the way.
Wait, so
Second.
Swinging free.
You said that podcasting was something. Did anything else happen that you could talk about, or?
It was basically about time, man. Never having any time, and I didn't make enough time to do things.
How long were you married?
It was almost 14 years.
Oh my!
You don't have kids?
I do, but with my first wife.
Okay, gotcha.
So this was your second marriage.
Yes.
Look at Bill.
How's the podcast going now? What podcast is it?
Horror on the Go.
It's once a month, man, and I barely have time to do that. And I've just been getting a guest on for 30 minutes because I don't have time to edit and shit either, man. Like I'm so burned out on the editing and music and all that, man. It's like
I know what that's like.
it's time consuming.
All right, don't get Joe going, Bill, please.
But I'm
Max, after what transpired,
Tom, you got to make the effort, man, because you will
I don't
see
hear
what
it.
through.
3.5
There's no
years.
point, Bill. There is no point in.
I mean, is it really difficult? How long did it take you to learn how to edit audio, Bill?
Oh, well, I've been in the audio field my whole life, so
All right, but like Boss Butcher,
That's
he
your
learned
great
that.
example.
yeah, that's a good example. It took him, yes, Joe, but it took him a while to like perfect it, probably about a year,
Sure.
because I was on the
Sure.
phone with him all the
1
time.
year, like 1 year, not 3.5.
No,
right?
no way, no way.
Well, some people's processes are different, Joe.
Max, after what transpired before we started recording, if Bill asked you this moment to go on his show, would you leave the cutting room to go on Bill's Horror on the Go show? Especially considering it's a horror show?
Well, I would love to be on Bill's show, but I've only been on his show once.
So yeah, you were on Grizzly Zone, Max.
But no, I'm not going to pull a Billy and just guys.
Yeah, where the hell is Billy Grimm, man? I've been trying to. We had a little.
Tom doesn't like to have him on the show anymore.
Is he still alive, guys? Is he alive?
Bill's on. He's on next week's episode.
He's on next week's
Holy
episode.
shit, Joe, you got to reach out. I've been trying to get a hold of him. We had a little Grizzly Zone reunion, and the fucking guy didn't even get back.
Oh,
Me and
man.
Boston-
Billy.
Oh,
Are you enamored by Billy, Bill? Do you like Billy?
I
Is
thought
he your
Bill-
favorite cast member of the cutting room?
No, man, no. You guys are all great, but like I thought he brought a great flair. Because we had 4 different personalities on there, and
Right.
he brought a completely different side, like you guys, more analytical, filmmaker style. So it was something completely different, and he brought a lot to the show.
I want to know what happens in a day in the life of you, because you say you don't have time for even one show a month. So what are you doing with all your time?
Oh my God, man!
When do you wake up? 12?
No way, dude. 5 in the morning.
5 in the morning, baby. All right, 5 in the morning. You wake up. You're lying there. You got the silky black sheets. The jorts are hanging over the chair. What do you turn on? You got your sports?
Oh,
or
I'm not wearing anything to bed, man.
Oh, you're naked. Hey, you know what I just did? I just completely shaved my entire region down there, and it's
Oh my
wonderful.
God, dude! Come on, we're the same age, dude. We don't do that shit. What's going on with you,
Max,
Well,
Max,
it's too hot out here, man.
Max, listen.
Dude, I'm in the fucking desert in Vegas. It don't get any more hotter, dude. What are you doing?
You were in California. That's right. You're living out in Vegas. Are you living next to Penn Jillette?
Yes, I've actually seen Penn Jillette a couple months ago, man. Went to one of his shows.
No, I know what you're doing. I just don't know what you're doing. So you're in Vegas.
No, dude, I want to talk about why you shave your nuts. I want to know.
Because I don't like being swampy. I don't like being sticky. I don't like being, dare I say, slightly odoriferous. And I feel like if there's a bunch of fucking hair down there and it's a swamp and it's 90 degrees outside and my underwear is wet, I don't like it. And I got rid of all of the hair. All of it. I went to town.
He's a man who has a lot of things on a lot of time on his hands.
I'm a
Look, listen, if a
Did you
hoe's
get
going to
that
be going
shit
down there,
waxed,
you got to
man?
take care of it.
Waxed.
Well, no, not waxed. I did it all myself, but I did the clean shave. Like I gently squatted on a mirror and put foamy.
Oh my God!
Your wife did
Oh
do
my
that for you,
God!
man?
Oh Jesus!
This is what you need to put on YouTube, Max.
Yes,
You want your fucking numbers to go up.
Well,
I want to see Max squatting on a fucking mirror,
please, Dave, don't tempt him. Dave.
shaving his taint.
Well, if Max didn't do that, he was going to have to get divorced too, Bill.
Oh my God, you should be like reading Nietzsche when you do it or something.
So your wife
The
is the
idiot.
type she don't like hair in her mouth, huh, man?
Well, I'm not really a head guy, so that actually works out great for her.
All right. Okay.
She doesn't really spend much time around my unit. Like
And you're disappointed in that, man.
No, I don't care for head very
I
much.
think you are. You got pent up anger, man.
Well, that's goes.
That's obvious. We all know that. That's been established repeatedly.
Yeah, but unlike any of you fuckers, I'm in therapy. Well, Dave, you might be in therapy. But see, the problem is I go to my therapist and I talk to him and he starts laughing like it's an HBO.
Do you talk to him about the cutting room, Max?
No.
No.
So back to Bill's breakfast. What
No,
time?
back to Dave and Joe. They haven't said if they like this film yet. I'm curious.
Well, Joe talked about it a little bit, and Joe's
We had an interview with
Eduardo Sanchez.
with
there's
Eduardo
a
Sanchez,
whole
which is going to be
elaborate
released in
Blair Witch discussion.
simultaneously.
Yeah.
I actually, Bill, you have to. I'm going to turn it back to you because I do like it. I did like it. I just showed my daughter actually. I think it doesn't hold up. I think it's a great movie to see once. I think it was a great movie of its time. Let's say this. I think it was brilliant and a groundbreaking movie of its time in that nobody did this. You have to admit that it was unique in as far as the history of cinema. I mean, they did something completely unlike anybody else, and you got to give them
But
credit
Joe,
for that.
what was amazing was the marketing behind that. Everybody
Of
thought
course.
this was real and those characters were dead.
It was an
I
not
still
only-
think it's real. I still think it's real.
But nothing
some part
happened
of
in
it-
the movie, guys. What the hell? Are you scared of rocks?
Okay,
being
but
put
wait,
around
Bill,
a
but wait,
tent?
you have to. But wait,
Jesus,
Bill, you
stop,
have
Bill.
to admit, Bill, you have to admit that it was groundbreaking in that it was a horror movie unlike any other. You have to admit that.
I will admit that it brought this subgenre, this terrible subgenre that's still
It
going on.
invented it. It invented it.
I don't
you
think
know,
that
and
it didn't invent it because Cannibal Holocaust invented the actual documentary.
I can't
I
watch
mean,
that because
it
real
didn't
animals
invent
die. I can't watch that movie.
Yes.
Yeah, and then people have done like really. Orson Welles invented it with War of the Worlds, but they did
That's
it in
right.
a they.
That's right.
This was a groundbreaking bit. I mean, it influenced in so many other films. It's
You don't like the
hugely.
paranormal films, Bill?
I don't, man. But the
Even though they justified why they're making this, like the first
part 3 was okay, man, because it was more security camp. I can't stand the handheld shakiness, man. I just don't think it's great filmmaking. I don't like the style, and I don't buy into. You have to buy into this is really taking place.
But
Yeah,
Bill,
but you
it
have
was
to buy into that with any film, though.
No,
Bill,
you
it-
don't,
it
man.
really-
No,
I mean, in a
Joe,
sense, you have to
Joe.
give yourself.
I can't
You have to
believe
give
you
yourself.
said that, man.
Yeah, but you have to give yourself over to the world that it's presenting as real. Yeah, so it's a little bit different, but you still have to give yourself over
But
to
Joe,
it.
this is so prevalent because people are walking around with a camera and shit's coming at them, and they're still filming. If that was real life,
I
this
know
shit
it doesn't.
would
It's not
They didn't
believable.
know stuff was coming at them, man. It was method filmmaking. They didn't know what was happening next. It was really happening. What you're seeing is real.
Well, the thing is that I bought it. You buy it. People bought it, and it was really effective. Obviously, some people didn't buy it, but I don't know.
Well, look,
You
I'll tell you something about my experience with this movie. I saw it twice in the span of about a week, in two separate theaters in two separate cities.
In '99.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the first city I saw it in was my hometown, North Bay, Ontario. I went to see it at a theater there, and the entire audience was right into it. Like everybody just locked into this thing, and I had an amazing time. It was probably one of the better theatrical experiences of my life, because it was just we were all into it. We were all down for this thing, and we were scared. We were freaked out. We didn't really know what the hell was going on. We didn't know what to expect. I think we really empathized with the characters, with Heather and Josh and all these people. Like you felt it, man. Yeah, I don't know. I felt it anyway. And the audience I saw it with in North Bay 100% felt it too. And so it was a really harrowing experience. It was a really creepy experience. You get to know these people, and then you kind of watch them unravel and then be destroyed. And it was hard. It was a great experience. I loved it. A week later, I saw it in Hamilton, Ontario, and the audience laughed their asses off and mocked the film and
Wow.
like threw shit at the screen
Whoa.
and hated it. Like it was pure hate, and people just they were mocking it. They were laughing at all the lines. When that famous scene with Heather and the flashlight, people were just laughing.
Ah.
Thought it was the stupidest thing ever. And so it was really weird to because I was psyched. I brought people with me because I was like, man, you guys have to see this. Like I had the greatest time at the theater seeing this, and I brought
wild.
people with me, and it
Right.
was just a totally opposite experience.
It's so weird that a theatrical experience could do that. To compare it to something that happened to me when I was younger, Dave, I saw Aliens in the theater, and I saw it on like opening night. And my aunt took me with her boyfriend and my little brother, and the theater was packed, and it was this really great shared experience. I mean, everybody was so locked into the movie. Every bit of dialogue, every bit of action, everybody was so into it, and it was this amazing shared experience. So a couple weeks later, I was going back to the movies with a couple of friends of mine. I'm like a young teenager, and I'm like, dude, we got to go see Aliens. You guys are gonna love it. And it was like just the opposite experience with the crowd. I mean, it was like flat dead. The movie didn't play anything like the time I had seen it a couple of weeks before. It's outstanding how that could happen.
Yeah,
You know?
and it just kind of goes to show that a film like this is not for everybody. It's not going to speak to everybody.
Sure, or any
And-
film for that matter.
But I think films that take certain risks like this in particular, right? I mean, this film took a lot of big risks.
Absolutely.
And you can't discount I like that Bill brought up the marketing, because the marketing was such an important element of what built this movie up in the public consciousness, and what made people consider, that this might be real, or there might be a nugget of truth in this.
It became a communal experience.
Absolutely. And so everybody was trying to get to the bottom of how they felt about the Blair Witch, and whether they thought it was real or whether they didn't think it was real. And I think they did an outstanding job doing that. And an interesting sort of postscript to that, because we bring up Paranormal Activity and all that shit. But Jason Blum, I believe that's his first name, Jason Blum, the guy who now runs Blumhouse Productions, was working for Miramax at the time, and he passed on Blair Witch Project.
To distribute.
Yeah.
Wow.
He took a pass on that movie. And when it went on to be the phenomenon that it was, he quit Miramax. And that's Paranormal Activity was his, like, I saw my Blair Witch again, and I got it this time. Right? And
right.
Which is, and it all depends what you think about Blumhouse. I don't have a lot of respect for, what I respect what he's doing, in the sense that he's making low budget films and he's trying to breathe life into the $1 to $10 million.
What's Blumhouse?
Blumhouse they did all the Paranormal Activity movies.
Okay.
They did Green Inferno. They did
everything nowadays.
They are just cranking out these films, and it's because they're going to studios and saying, "Hey, you're producing this movie. You're doing it for $50 million. We'll do it for $5 million." Right? And they do it, and they get everybody to work for scale, and they have, like, they've got their own website, producing their own news content and stuff like that. A lot of people I used to write with at Fangoria are now Blumhouse PR, essentially, which is not much different from what they were before, but it's kind of more official now. And they built this kind of weird empire, right? And it's interesting in that I love that he's trying to revive that segment of the industry, that independent feature between $1 and $10 million, which is dead now. Or at least was dead before Blumhouse rolled along. And now Blumhouse is showing that there is actually a market for those films again, and they're doing extremely well. What we can probably question is how they're accomplishing that, because there's a lot of weird, questionable stuff going on there. But no doubt, Blair Witch started that path, right? Set Jason Blum on that path to create this empire now.
Well, there's no question that this film has a place in film history, of course, man. I mean, it just did so much. It just changed everything so much. All these found footage movies followed in its wake. I mean, and it extended past horror. I mean, for better or worse.
We're talking
mostly for the worst, but
we're talking
I kind of agree with you there.
We're talking the Blair Witch Project with Bill Shetty from Horror on the Go. Bill, it's horroronthego.com is where you're at.
Yep.
Very cool. Go, and you can follow Bill Shetty on Twitter at Bill Shetty.
Yep, that's it.
I love it. See, I still remember these things, Bill. Isn't that awesome?
Hey,
it's
Bill,
did
you like Blair Witch? Bill, did you like Blair Witch 2: Book of Shadows?
I like that better, Max. I did.
Now listen, Tom, I know you're wrapping it up and I don't get to ask Bill any more questions, but he is such an intriguing character to me. I could interview him for the next 12 hours. But I still want to know two things. We don't get into his day, obviously, because we're ending the show. But I want to know if he prepares his own meals, and I want to know if he's an ass man or a boob man. That's it.
Do it. Bill?
Definitely boob, man. Definitely boob. Not an ass, man. Hate big asses, man. Not a Jennifer Lopez fan, man. Not at all. And yeah, sometimes I eat out a lot, man. I eat out a lot. So.
See, See, I really like you, Bill, but I don't know if we could hang out because we're so different. But that might be a good thing. Because what you
Yes.
just said about ass, like you don't even like a big ass. Like you like a little round.
Yeah.
Does it have to can it at least be round?
Yeah, it can be round, but I like the thin chicks, man. Thin, skinny.
Okay.
Yeah.
You like a wayfish form.
Not wayfish. Gotta have some substance.
So Heather
But
Donahue
Smaller hips. Smaller hips.
So Heather Donahue squatting in the woods,
No.
taking
did
a
not
hot
do
little
that.
musky pee.
Oh,
You didn't
no.
like that.
Oh, that was
Ah,
hot.
nasty.
That was
Nasty,
hot. That
man.
was
I don't think she's good looking at all, man.
She's
I
gorgeous.
think she
Are you
is
kidding me?
gorgeous.
She is gorgeous.
I don't.
Bill,
But let
let's
me
say-
say, wait a minute. Let me say something about Eduardo Sanchez, man. I don't like most his films and what he's did, but he did produce a great film, Lovely Molly, man. Like a few years back was a great film. I thought was
He
really good.
produced that one.
Yes.
Did he direct it?
I think he directed it. Let me look it up.
He
Yes.
directed Lovely Molly.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
he
That
did.
was his best film, in my opinion. Yeah. Really good.
Do you use different?
Come on, geez.
Last question, Max.
All right. I just want to know if he uses different scented body washes, like I.
I don't, man. Regular soap.
Soap,
Bar
bar
soap, man. Or Irish Spring. Don't matter.
Forest soap.
I just called it at the same. We both said Irish Spring at the.
There you go, man. Yep. Not a body wash person, man.
All right, let's thank Bill Shetty for coming on, man, and giving us his time. It's always good to talk to Bill, and I'm glad this year you were able to come on, Bill. Sometimes you deny us on Halloween.
Yes,
but,
I apologize, man. You guys have asked me so much, but I'm so busy and like my
Great.
schedule's crazy, so I apologize. And God, I miss you guys, man. Joe, I didn't even hardly get to talk to you. Friggin' Max
Well,
stole the show again.
It's hard. It's hard.
It's Max's show. It's Halloween, Bill. This is his thing.
Yes. Sorry.
It's the booty butt wipe show. We call this the cutting room, aka the booty butt wipe show.
Hey, but I did like that you did a redo of that show where Billy and Max got into the big fight, man. That was the best show on Horror Palace. I remember so many responses. That was
I'm glad our
awesome.
dysfunctionalism really gets everyone going.
Yeah, we should have recorded the conversation we had earlier
Oh my
before we
God.
even started.
That was some
Right,
great
Charlie.
shit, man. I'm telling you.
Oh, all right, Bill. Hey, listen, I'd like to remind everybody that they could check out our interview with Eduardo Sanchez, the co-director of the Blair Witch Project. It's right next to this show at the Cutting Room Podcast.com. We are going to move on to the second half and final part of our Halloween spectacular. Mr. Max Cook, we're doing Martyrs from 2008. And Mr. Joe Mummy, I can't wait to hear your music. He's going to do
That's right.
He's going to do the introduction.
We bring back the old Horror Palace intros for the Halloween show, Bill.
I can't fucking believe you guys don't get me on Martyrs. You get me on Blair Witch, man. Martyrs is amazing, dude.
Well, stick around.
I can't.
Yeah,
dude,
stick around.
I'd love to. I got a
I'm
cruise.
just too
man.
busy, guys. I got so many things going on. I can't even talk about it.
God, I hope you guys love the Martyrs, man. If you don't, I'm going to be commenting all over the fucking place with Martyrs.
You're gonna be on me, Bill.
Bill Shetty. For real, even after multiple viewings, and I must say that this will now become a yearly Halloween event for me. That's right, Max Cook, a yearly Halloween event. The Blair Witch Project. Horror lives inside the Blair Witch Project. It eats you alive and spits you out. It makes you think of helplessness and death. I felt so alone watching this film. I felt cold and abandoned. Sanchez and Myrick effectively tap into your soul and leave you wondering about what's important to you. Is it life? Is it your dreams? Is it the films you absorb? Is it death? Darkness parades throughout those Maryland woods, and we're all affected by the tortured children in this film. This is a classic horror film, and one of the best the genre has offered over the past 20 years. A genre that seems to keep repeating itself and producing boring and ineffective terror. I know this film has a love-hate relationship with most horror fans, and probably rightfully so, but in my humble opinion, as I sit here during the Halloween season, I declare this a near horror masterpiece. a chilling tale of dread and discomfort. It amazes me how quietly Sanchez and Myers seemed to stop shooting for blood. Horror was lost and in dire need of a swift kick in the ass, and luckily, Eduardo Sanchez and Daniel Myrick found each other and wrote a 35-page treatment about a found footage film that would see three young adults search for the legend of an evil witch in the deepest and darkest parts of a Maryland forest. This treatment would become the Blair Witch Project. Luckily, the 90s wasn't through with delivering something for the horror fanatics to talk about for years to come. And what they got has now become legend. I'm utterly amazed at how scary and intense this film still is to me. That's right, you heard it here first, Bill Shetty.
This is a joke.
He's calling my intro a joke.
He shows up and calls it a joke.
Nobody has ever interrupted somebody's introduction before, movie introduction before, until Bill comes on.
Oh man, this film is totally fucking effective, packed with originality and performances that will blow your mind. You feel lost along with Heather, Michael, and Josh. You get their frustration and hunger, and most importantly, their fear. It feels so tonight. Real quick, thought from your host. So check this out, Halloween fanatics. A New Jersey elementary school has decided to ban all Halloween activities this year in hopes of satisfying the 20% of the student body that oppose celebrating the holiday. No costumes, no candy, no parade, and most importantly, no self-expression. Seriously, children have a hard enough time expressing themselves, and now they continue to be stifled by some ridiculous decision made by an obviously wimpy school board. I mean, who does this holiday actually offend? What the hell is going on? I mean, let's remember, this holiday is for the kids. If anything, we should ban the adults wearing costumes, because all it has become to them is a reason for women to dress up like slutty prostitutes for an evening. Leave the kids alone, and please allow them to express themselves, especially on a beloved holiday, Mr. Max Cook, like Halloween. All right, let's get into it. I
love it. A PSA from the cutting room. That's great.
Hey, listen, I'm going to introduce the Blair Witch Project. Let's get things going. Here I go.
When was the overlook built?
Construction started in 1907. It's finished in 1909. The site is supposed to be located on an Indian burial ground, and I believe they actually had to repel a few Indian attacks as they were building it. That's our snowcat. Can you both drive a car?
Yes. You son of a bitch, you moved the cemetery, but you left the bodies, didn't you? You son of a bitch, you left the bodies and you only moved the headstones! You only moved the headstones! Lie!
Everybody duck, duck. Here comes the tomahawk.
I started thinking to myself right before I screened the Blair Witch Project, what the hell was going on with horror in the 90s? Seriously, what films stood out? Who was shaking the horror foundation? Who was pushing the boundaries? I seriously came up with nothing. Carpenter was a mess making vampires and remaking Village of the Damned or something, and Romero was off zombies and making bad horror movies with Timothy Hutton. Sam Raimi was making westerns and gearing up for Spider-Man. All the guns.
the town that loved the evil Reverend Billy Grimm, Billy the Chainsaw Massacre, and Joe and
Hey everyone, once again, happy Halloween. Welcome back to our big Halloween spectacular here on the Cutting Room Movie Podcast. This is episode 93, and once a year I get to say this. I am your host, Tomahawk Detloff, and tonight I am joined by the California Chainsaw Massacre, Mr. Joe Mummy, Dangerous Dave Pace, and we got a special guest for our first review tonight. We're going to be talking about the Blair Witch Project. Mr. Bill Shetty of Horror on the Go is with us. He's back on the Cutting Room Movie Podcast. Cannot wait to talk to him. We got a lot going on